Okay, so we're locked in Minneapolis, and Ilhan Omar just learned a hard lesson. She isn't as important as she may have thought she was. Her political publicity stunt to confront federal ICE agents completely collapsed, and she was forced out of the Whipple ICE Processing Center in Minneapolis after federal officers revoked access and shut her down. And so smash that thumbs up button, let me know you love the video, subscribe to the channel for more, and share this video. That way more people see what's really going on. But first, take a look. Take a look at some of the people Ilhan Omar, Tim Waltz, and the people who think obstructing ICE operations is a good idea. Look at who they're actually aiding. The same activists out here in the streets right now blowing whistles, blocking roads, and chanting for federal agents to leave. These are just some of the criminals they're standing with when they try and obstruct ICE from doing their job. Take a listen.
You have an individual from Laos, illegal alien convicted of violent sexual assault of minors. A Salvadoran convicted of 3 counts of homicide. Another Laos convicted of sexual assault of a girl under 13 years old and procuring a minor for prostitution. You have a Mexican illegal convicted of homicide, a Sudanese illegal convicted of homicide, another Mexican national convicted of sexual assault of a child. You've got a Somalian citizen, illegal immigrant convicted of homicide, and the list goes on and on. This is just a sampling of those. And by the way, Laken Riley would have turned 24 yesterday, but her life was taken by an illegal immigrant allowed into this country from Venezuela.
And this is the point that I'm going to continue to make because it's important. These people don't even know who they are defending when they interfere with federal ICE operations. But as we see, they don't care. They just think that they're taking the moral high ground in their righteous crusade. But I'm sure Lincoln Riley would say different. But these ICE agitators, the woman who died due to decisions she chose to make as an adult, as a mother, they get activated by these politicians like Ilhan Omar, who are thinking more about how they can use the chaos for political gain, pulling the threads of outrage to shift power away from the president and away from Republicans. But Omar found out when she was visiting the ICE processing facility that she is not as powerful as she may have thought. Take a listen.
Hey guys, Congresswoman Angie Craig. Hi guys. Hi. We are exercising our congressional authority. I'm Congresswoman Angie Craig. This is Congresswoman Kelly Morrison. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
Can we talk to you guys in there?
Yeah. If we can come past, then we can probably talk. We have our
contact our supervision, ma'am.
Yeah.
If you guys can move this way so we can have a conversation with them, that would be great.
Great.
Is that okay?
Please step back. The gate is coming down. Further. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Wait, move to the sides.
Fuck you, man.
Why do you have your pepper spray out? Why do you have your pepper spray out, officer?
What's the danger? Man, you should quit your job. You should quit your job.
You guys stay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Mitch.
Photo lenses. Fine from behind the wire.
This is Congresswoman Kelly.
Name? Oh, Megan. And me.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
I will end with this. What happened today is a blatant attempt to obstruct members of Congress from doing their oversight duties. When we appropriate funds as members of Congress, we are expected by the public to do oversight because the public requires their money be used with transparency and accountability. And what happened today is ICE agents deciding that we were no longer allowed to fulfill our constitutional duties.
I'm sorry. Yes, you heard that correctly. That was Congresswoman Ilhan Omar out of Minnesota, the same Congresswoman who allowed fraud to run rampant in her district to the tune of what? We're talking billions of dollars where they're estimating now. But let's just talk about what we know she was advertising and marketing. Let's talk about the Feeding Our Future scandal, where she was literally, you can find the videos on YouTube now, marketing and talking highly about how the Safari restaurant caught in the middle of it. The owner went down. The owner pled guilty. And she's on camera. She's in these YouTube videos supporting them, saying they're feeding the future. They're feeding thousands, if not millions of kids across Minnesota. That same Ilhan Omar who allowed blatant and obvious fraud to run rampant in Minneapolis. Most of it, if not, 95 to 99% of it happening in the Somali community, unfortunately for them. Now she's concerned about where taxpayer dollars are being appropriated. Give me a break. How ironic. Now, all of a sudden, she has this high level of concern and care for the American taxpayer dollar and how it's being used. You cannot make this up. This was a complete joke and nothing more than just a political stunt. She was hoping for a gotcha moment. That's what it was. Something she could post on social media for clicks, views, and to sway public opinion. But it collapsed horribly, I would say, for Omar, and she did nothing but really just embarrassed herself. And the congresswoman, she found out that she's not as important or powerful, perhaps as she may have believed herself to be. But after failing at that, she ended up taking part of the protest, and she looked a little sick as protesters screeched their hatred for her buddies, Tim Walz and Jacob Fry. Take a listen and take a look.
Walls, grow some balls! Walls, grow some balls! Walls, grow some balls! El pueblo presente! El pueblo presente! He was taken by ICE just the other day! Somebody say shame! They murder when they ignore calls from people who really need them, and when they assist ICE. So to Jacob Fry, we say fuck you! You are not doing enough! Words are not enough! We need action now! Same goes to Tim Walz! You think it's gonna help anybody bringing the National Guard to Minnesota? Stop the war on the people!
You all have refused to back down. You all have decided that this resistance is not one that can be intimidated. We are showing the nation that regardless of what the tyrant in the White House believes, we know that we are here to stay and this is our country. We are going to make a life here and we are going to stand up for our neighbors here in Minneapolis. As many of you know, they came to terrorize, abduct, and deport Somali immigrants here in Minnesota. When they couldn't find any, because majority of us are legal residents and citizens, they decided to terrorize our Latino immigrants.
And so you seen and you heard that. And so Ilhan Omar is out there protesting with people who don't even like her. They don't like her. They don't like Tim Walz. They don't like the weak mayor of Minneapolis. Because to them, the politicians aren't radical enough. These protesters are angry because the elected officials they voted for aren't doing what they think is enough to let chaos thrive in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. But meanwhile, you have the weak mayor out there, Jacob Fry, and the police chief. Yes, the same police chief who got run off by protesters and people he had been defending this entire time. Now they're on CNN, even after the release of the multiple angles and additional videos showing Renee Good blocking and impeding ICE operations for 3 minutes before the fatal encounter. And they're spinning their own narrative. Take a listen.
It is true that you've been critical of Secretary Noem for her quick characterization of the incident, but you also said on Wednesday, quote, this was a federal agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying. Does your rhetoric need to change?
Yeah, I said this was a federal agent recklessly using power that ended up in somebody dying because that was a federal agent recklessly using power that ended up in somebody dying. It's exactly what happened. I mean, am I biased in this? Of course, and I'm biased because I got two eyes. Anybody can see these videos. Anybody can see that this victim is not a domestic terrorist. I mean, my goodness, she's like doing a 3 or a 4 or 5 point turn. This looks like somebody that's trying to get out of there. If doing a 3 point turn or a 4 point turn is a domestic terrorist, and my wife is a criminal every single day, it does not make sense.
It doesn't make sense because it doesn't fit their narrative. And so they had to keep moving the goalposts, right? If you remember, initially it was about, well, he didn't get ran over, so his life wasn't really in danger. She didn't deserve to die. I mean, well, deserve to die, what does that actually mean? I mean, people don't get what they deserve in life. You get what you allow. And she allowed, through the choices she made leading up into that situation, she allowed herself to be in a position where her life was in danger, where the officer had to make a split decision on how to handle that situation. And so you could say she didn't deserve to die, but she allowed herself to be in a position where that could be an outcome. Every day, people wake up and make sure that they live their lives in ways that are not going to put themselves in danger. But yet we see a 37-year-old mother, she chose to do that. But nonetheless, you'll still have those on the left, like a Jasmine Crockett, who will try to present a false reality to fit the Democrat Party narrative in order to spin things towards the public how they want it to be perceived. Take a listen.
It is so hard to sit here sometimes because I didn't come to Congress to write laws or to do things that are hurting people. I'm just asking if there's any decency or heart or courage on that side of the aisle. The fact that a woman was killed, she was shot in her head, and y'all are pretending like nothing happened. I remember when Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you remember what our response was? Our response wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay. Is it okay because you have a badge? Because the last time I checked, allegedly no one is above the law. Can y'all not just have a little bit of courage and humanity? A child. A child has lost her mom.
Okay, let's stop it right there. That's just hard to watch. Just anytime I got to show you guys Jasmine Crockett, it becomes extremely hard to just listen to her talk. But I got to show you guys both sides and what they're saying. She's saying and comparing this to Charlie Kirk, which she sounds like an idiot, obviously, because Charlie Kirk was on a college campus debating people in an open forum, which is a public space where you're allowed to sit and have conversations and just talk to people. And then we saw the radical left and people who they just chose to make their assumptions about him right away, do things like dress up for Halloween, create T-shirts, and basically mocked his death. And so to compare that situation and people's reaction to a woman who was following around law enforcement officers, impeding operations, possibly preventing them from catching one of those criminals I showed you guys at the beginning of the video. Yeah. Jasmine Crockett sticking to her usual agenda of being about as disingenuous as it gets when it comes to politicians. Yeah, and unfortunately, what you end up with in situations like this are people who already don't agree with the Trump administration right out the gate. That's number one. Number two, they listen to people like a Jasmine Crockett speak, and they actually believe her. That's a serious problem. And so what you end up with are people, even those with huge platforms, saying things they are ignorant about and clueless. And chances are they heard something or someone told them something, and rather than actually taking the time to fully understand the issue, they come out sounding completely uninformed, like Doc Rivers, the NBA coach for the Milwaukee Bucks. Take a listen.
Happened in Minnesota was a straight up murder, in my opinion, and it's awful. This lady was probably trying to go home, and she didn't make it home, and that's really sad. So the whole ICE thing is it's a travesty. You know, it's clearly, to me, we're attacking brown people, and I just happen to be brown, and I don't think it should just be brown people who are upset at this. I think we all have to be. I don't care what side of this thing you are on politically. What's going on in our country right now is absolutely wrong as far as the race stuff. The politics, I'm not going to get into. The race stuff, I will, and it's just wrong, and we have to do something. But the only thing we can do right now is keep speaking up, because it doesn't seem like they care, and that's troublesome. Last thing I'm going to say, because I don't want to stay on this, but I could. I keep thinking about kids, and when I grew up, the president was always the role model, and I think about that and the effect of being a bully, lying. How is that good for our kids? And that worries me for our future. So I'll stop there.
Yeah, so that's Doc Rivers, and he's part of the issue when it comes to people who like to make everything about race. Sorry, but last time I checked, didn't realize that Renee Good was suddenly this brown person. I thought she was a liberal white woman. At least she presented as one. Now he wants to make it about brown people. And this is the problem I have with people like Doc Rivers. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'll just say that he continued to dig himself deeper and deeper into a ditch as far as not really understanding what's going on. And that's okay. You don't have to speak on every subject matter that's going on just because you got a platform, just because you may be a public figure. You can say no comment. You can say, just want to make sure that law enforcement officers are being respected and that they're able to do their job and keep us safe. You say one of those, or you can say nothing. You don't know enough. It's okay to say, I'm not aware enough about the facts of the case, so I don't want to make a comment. It's okay to say things like that rather than to sound like someone who is ill-informed, but because you want to feel like you're for the cause, you decide to just say things that are just blatantly false. But he's not alone. Here goes another NBA coach who wants to stick their nose into things that they don't really know what they're talking about. But take a listen. Steve Kerr.
Well, I'm glad that the Timberwolves, recognized, her life and the tragic nature of her death, and it's shameful, really, that in our country we can have law enforcement officers who commit murder and seemingly get away with it. It's shameful that the government can come out and lie about what happened when there's video and witnesses who have all come out and disputed what the government is saying. So
people like Steve Kerr, Doc Rivers, and public figures, celebrities who tend to lean more liberal, they're always going to speak out with these type of situations and take public stances. And listen, everybody can have an opinion about different things that's going on, including this. I just tend to be a firm believer that if I don't know about something, then I don't speak on it. I do my best, even when I'm speaking to you guys, to make sure that I research, I understand, I look at both sides and maybe what everyone is saying before I open my mouth and talk about something, at least so that way I have a resemblance as far as being knowledgeable on it, rather than just talking off the cuff and speaking from emotion rather than logic and actual facts. But nonetheless, we'll continue to see stuff like this, and I'll continue to bring it to you. And these protesters, they're out here, they want everyone to believe that they care about people, that they care about the illegals, but they don't really care about anybody. They just more so care about creating chaos. Take a look at this, as there are two women who are simply trying to pass by it because they have an emergency, and the protesters are basically saying, no, you got to go the other way. Doesn't seem really like they care that much about the people in this instance. Take a listen.
Y'all, stop engaging. We're trying to get them to leave.
Yeah, wow. And what's so funny about that, I'm sorry, I just thought about this now. Those two women would have probably had a better chance of getting home if they would have said, we're here illegally in this country and we need to get escorted back home before ICE catches us. They would have probably got a convoy of woke liberal protesters to guide them back home safely. But instead, because they were simply just two American women trying to get home, they could not even get past. Ironic, huh? The very people who you constantly hear them saying how they care about their neighbors. We care about our illegal neighbors. They deserve to be here as much as anyone. Don't care much about two women who are simply trying to get back to where they were coming from. Yeah, but those are my thoughts. Now I want to hear from you. Don't forget, smash the thumbs up button. Let me know you love the video. Subscribe to the channel for more and share this video. That way more people see what's really going on. Until next time.